All right, welcome back to the All American Hoops podcast. This is episode 113. I'm Chris Driscoll. Joining me, as per usual, is my younger brother, Matt Driscoll.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. Very excited to talk hoops again this week.
Absolutely. Also joining us last second is our older brother, John Driscoll.
Hey, H, thanks for having me on, man. Excited to talk.
For sure. And also joining us is House of Highlights, Jay Roebuck.
Nice to meet you all. I'm happy to be here. Pleasure.
For sure. I always forget to ask at the beginning of the show, at the beginning of the show to pronounce it. Did I pronounce that right, Roebuck?
Yeah, you got it right, Roebuck. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. So, Jay, great having you on because a few weeks ago we had a lot of, like, for those of you who are familiar with the show, a lot of you are probably familiar with Jay from his work at House of Highlights, more specifically with his work on Clash, aka One Fan versus 10 Haters. He's been in a couple of roles. So I know that the most recent one was the GOAT's Big Three bracket. He was also in a couple other brackets, couple of the debate stages. So Jay, if you don't mind me asking, which one do you think has been your favorite one so far?
That's a tough one. I'll probably go when I was, the guy in the main chair. So the Gen Z versus OG NBA fans. I think that was a great experience. It is difficult. I would say I read the comments. So some people have been critical of me, but until you've been in that seat, you don't understand what it's like.
No, of course not.
But I would say that's my favorite moment. But anytime I get to be on a stage talking sports with a group of people who are intense and love it and are passionate, it's an amazing time. It's a dream come true to do things like that.
I will say, I think my favorite part of that episode was when the one guy who said, I think your prompt was at the event would be the dream team, and he said something about how our generation isn't emotionally attached to our teams enough. I'm like, wow, of all the things that like all the old farts were gonna say throughout the episode, us not being emotional enough was not one of those things. So that definitely threw me off guard. I don't know if it threw you off guard too.
Yeah, he was a passionate debater. He had a lot to say. He was a character for sure.
Yeah. All of them seemed like they were like nice guys at the end of the day, but just very, very passionate for sure.
Yes.
And I know that you also, in one of your other debates, you were, I think it was the most unstoppable player of all time. I saw that you debated our friend. He's been on the show twice, Mike Orzemba. He was the Jordan guy. That was when I caught your eye for the first time. I'm like, oh, this guy knows ball. So, it's tough to debate for Steph Curry against Michael Jordan, but I think you held your own for sure.
Yeah, man, I thought I should have pulled that one out. I thought I made a good case there. And it's funny, actually, I didn't know Mike Orzemba went to St. John's, which is where I graduated from. I think he was like a year or two younger than me. So I didn't know until after the show. And then people were writing me like, this guy went to college with us. And I was like, had no idea. So very small world.
That is small. Our dad also went to St. John's as well. So when we had him on last year, we actually talked about St. John's. So I wish I knew that about you. We definitely would have put aside a segment for St. John's. However, if we have time at the end, we could definitely add some extra more on because it's been a good couple weeks. So and hopefully get some good few weeks coming up for us as well. Anyways, before we get into the agenda, we're going to start off as per usual with birthdays. So I told Matt and Jay at the beginning of the show that we're a little thin on birthdays for the players. However, that's not the case with the NBA. Happy birthday to the 3-time MVP and 2023 Finals MVP Nikola Jokic. So that part's not thin. But then after that, to Mike Miller, who I didn't realize played for 17 seasons in the NBA. Like I knew he was there for a while. 17 seasons. That's pretty elite longevity. Like I know he was never really that guy, but still to be like a solid role player for that long time is pretty impressive. MLB, I wasn't familiar with any player except for Dave Stewart. Apparently he's a 3-time champion. He's a 3-time champion for 3 different teams, and one of them I think he was the World Series champ, World Series MVP, if I'm not mistaken. And in the NFL, this was the thinnest one possible. The only name I was familiar with remotely was Damian Pierce, so of the Houston Texans, and then also I think he played for the Commanders this past year, if I'm not mistaken too. But then, if any old guys are watching the show, Paul Krause and Dwight, I think Freeney or whatever. I probably wrote this down wrong. My handwriting's crap, but so pretty thin outside of Jokic for sure. But anyway, so we figured since it's just the starts of the. It's not really the second half. It's more so the last third of the regular season that we kick into the playoffs. we're gonna take it a little bit easier today with the diving in. We're gonna start off by just going through the NBA standings and projecting what we think is gonna happen for the rest of the season. And then towards the end, we have a game of drafting some all-time great teammates. So we're very, very excited for that. Yeah. So we'll start off in the East. So most recently, the Detroit Pistons became not only the number one in the East, they're also the number one. They're also the number one seed overall ahead of the OKC Thunder now. So pretty cool to say the least. I was someone, Matt John and I did our over unders podcast at the beginning of the year, and I slammed the over, so I was very, very happy I did that. But a lot of people have their questions about them, mainly just because they're I'm pretty sure they don't have a top 10 offense. Is it either top 10 offense or top 10 defense? I'm pretty sure it's top 10 offense that they don't have.
Yeah.
So Jay, I was wondering, are you buying into the Pistons hype? Do you think they have it? They're the one seed, so they do have a shot at going to the finals. But like, would you, if you were a betting man, would you bet on them making the finals?
Making the finals right now, I'm gonna say no. I think something that they lack is really that experience. And I like to view the game in a simple way. It's like, do you have a guy who can take over a game when it's late? And do you have a guy who can guide you to a place where the team has never been before? So I think the East is wide open right now. So in terms of like logistically, do they have a chance? Absolutely. Because I don't think there's a dominant team in the Eastern Conference. But like you said, offensively, I get a bit worried. In the playoffs, when things slow down, when foul calls are harder to come by, when teams are keying in on Cade Cunningham, who is going to be that secondary scorer, especially from the outside, is going to be very difficult. Who can you rely on? So when I think about it in that way, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for them to get there. You know, New York is experienced. New York bounced them last year. I look at, you know, obviously Boston, if Tatum makes a return, that's a team that's been there before with young veterans who are championship proven, who have been to the Eastern Conference Finals a bunch of times. So can they beat those teams? Because the playoffs is a completely different game from the regular season. So we've seen the Atlanta Hawks finish with the number one seed, and then they couldn't do anything with LeBron James. There's no LeBron James in the East right now, but there are teams that are battle proven and battle tested. So that's my big worry for them right now.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, you got anything to add on to that?
Yeah, Jay, I mean, you really hit the nail on the head right there. I have the odds to win the conference right now up on DraftKings. Even though the Pistons are 5 games above everybody right now, they're third to win the conference. So it seems like Vegas agrees with you, behind the Cavs and the Knicks. But the main point is they have a lot of very, very solid players, and obviously Cade is, arguably a top 10 player in the league right now, but they don't have like the secondary guy. A lot of teams are going to throw. We saw the Knicks last year in the playoffs. They threw a double team at him, and Cade did make the right play, even though he did struggle with turnovers a lot. But it depends on if the other guys can step up, I think, with the Pistons. I still think, I mean, they're playing way better than I thought they would. I did take their over, I think, Chris, in our under overs pod, but I did not expect them to be the number one team in the East. So they are exceeding my expectations. So maybe they'll do that again in the playoffs. But I do agree that I think they lack the experience. I think they need to have their heart broken a couple more times before they break through and make the finals.
Yeah, I think just to kind of echo exactly what you two said, it's not really a criticism to just say that we need to see them prove it, right? And they've only been to the playoffs once with this kind of core, and I think another something you guys also highlighted is, do they have like a bona fide kind of like number 2 guy to kind of step up if a double team gets thrown at Cade, right? I know like Jalen Duren's had a really great year, but can he be that guy? They might still just be a little too young, but we'll see. I think it's just we got to see from them before we can start predicting things like that.
Yeah, 100% agree with you guys. Yeah, like I'm definitely a fan of the Pistons. I feel like I'm a fan of what they built. I'm a big fan of Cade. Tobias Harris has always been someone that I've had a soft spot for. Jalen Duren, he had like a few week stretch. What was it, like 2 years ago, that like he was like one of the favorites to win Depoy. And he's not quite that guy, but he's still all-star worthy at the very least. Definitely proven for sure. Obviously they ended up. Did they trade Jay Navi or did they cut him? I'm pretty sure they traded him away to the Bulls. So they traded him. So I thought he was going to be better, but the fact that I think he was like a top 2 or 3 pick, and the fact that they were able to succeed without him, I think is extremely impressive. So, yeah, and I'm also a huge fan of JB Bickerstaff as well. He's probably the favorite to win. I don't know what the odds say, but I think he's probably the favorite to win Coach of the Year. I think that has more to do with both this year. I think it also has a part to do with last year too, because he didn't win Coach of the Year. It went to what's his name, Atkinson. Because but at the end of the day, Bickerstaff literally tripled his team's win total last year. Now they're the top seed. So as much as I love Joe Mazzulla, and I think that he has just as good a case as Bickerstaff. I feel like Bickerstaff might deservedly get the vote as well, because it was like a 50-50 vote last year between him and Atkinson. So but like you guys said, they have they're young. They're pretty inexperienced. They probably need to make another move. They're probably like a number 2 away probably, in order to get past some of those Eastern Conference teams. But it'll be interesting to say the least what their ceiling is, because I think they'll probably sweep whatever playing team they face, unless it's like a team with experience, which I don't know if there's any team with experience that's like down in like the 7th through 10th seed. But yeah, I think once they reach the second round, it's anyone's ball game for sure.
Yeah, I wonder what they think about themselves, because I feel like if they felt they had a chance, would they have been a little bit more aggressive at the trade deadline and tried to go get James Harden maybe, right? Because that gives you a secondary scorer and ball handler. That gives you another guy who could throw the lobs to Jalen in the paint. So do they believe they can get there, or are they kind of agreeing with us and saying we're a little bit ahead of schedule, and maybe next year or the year after is a time where we will be more aggressive?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, the summertime will be interesting for sure, because I know there was some like speculation, Giannis, but then it was like, no, Lauri Markkanen would be a better fit, but the Jazz ended up not trading for him. But Markkanen would fit like a glove for sure, but I don't know if he's someone that can move the needle as a championship team. I think he could be, actually, especially as the number 2, because I do think that Cade is that guy. So like that would be a move that I would support if I was the Pistons for sure. But anyway, we already mentioned a couple of those teams. So I don't even know where I'd put the Pistons, like as far as it goes for tiers wise, but like let's say standings wise, let's mix it by both standings and by vibes. What Pistons are on their own tier. Tier 2, I would say, is the Celtics, the Knicks, and the Cavs. The Cavs are only 2 games up on the Raptors, but I think they're very clearly in the mix for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th than they are the 5th best team. So, Jay, which team would you say has the best chance of knocking out the Pistons, and also the best chance at breaking through and winning the East?
I think it's the Knicks. There's no doubt about it. I think the only thing they're missing is, getting things clicking on offense. So I know we think of Alvarado as a defensive guy, defensive pest, but as you saw the other night, I think he came out and had 8 threes. If he can shoot the 3 ball consistently and kind of provide that defensive support for Brunson in the backcourt, I think the Knicks are one of the more dangerous teams in not just the East, but the entire in the league. And I think the Knicks are a team that knows they have a small window to get things done. They have a lot of guys they have to pay. Brunson has a big payday looming. So you really got to, maximize the window and try to win right now. I would have loved to see them maybe make a move, but I think they did the best that they could, and they tried to shore up the bench and bring a little bit more depth. So I'm happy there. I'm from New York. I'm not, the biggest, most outward Knicks fan, but I do want to see them do well, and I do want to see them win so I could be proud. I like to root for champions. So I haven't had a chance to do that in my lifetime with the Knicks, but I think this is as close as they've been since 99, right, to getting there. So we got to see what happens.
Yeah, Jay, I promise I'm not just going to agree with you the entire pod, but this I do agree that and before I start, Chris, I do agree that I think the top 4 teams are way better than the rest of the East. I think the Pistons right now are technically a tier on their own, but I think the Cavs and the Knicks and the Celtics are right behind them. I would say, just because of the question marks that the Celtics have, like if Tatum is coming back, it seems like it, but how healthy he will be when he gets back. I would lean towards the Knicks having the best shot of coming out of the East if it's not the Pistons. The only thing that scares me is the defense with Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson on the floor. We talked about this on the pod before. It's hard. easier to hide a bad defensive guard than it is to hide a bad defensive big. And Karl Anthony Towns isn't great defensively. However, the last like 10 games or so, I think it is, the Knicks have one of the best defenses in the league, net rating wise. So I would lean the Knicks, but it is very close between the Pistons, Celtics, and Knicks, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I go back and forth because I think that the Knicks obviously have the highest floor, I think, out of all those teams, like by far. I think the expectation is the highest for them. And I think that if everything kind of plays out the way it's we expect it to, then they're the pick. Obviously a lot of, some of us here are Celtics fans. I think that you always have a glimmer of hope, or just, you always think of your team in maybe a more positive light. Jason Tatum coming back obviously makes you think a little bit bigger in terms of the picture, right? But there are question marks on how he fits specifically with this team, right? And I think there are a lot of questions that have to be answered in somewhat of a short time frame, until the playoffs start. But I guess overall the Knicks would be the pick, I would say. But depending on what happens with Jason Tatum and the Celtics, they could be a close second.
Yeah, definitely couldn't agree with you more, John, with your first part where you mentioned that the Knicks have the highest floor for sure, because if you break down every single team, obviously the Celtics have the lack of star power. Shout out Jaylen Brown. He's been much better than everyone expected to be. Probably a top, definitely top 5, definitely top 10 in the MVP race. So I'd say for sure. And all the role players have been great. Joe Mazzulla's been awesome, but at the end of the day, it is tough to go far. If Jason Tatum comes back rusty, B, if he comes back strong, like their depth is solid, but it's not as good as the Knicks. And obviously the Pistons is their experience, and the Cavs, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I think their weakness is in fact James Harden. And he's had a very good start to first couple of games. I think that he's an upgrade from Darius Garland, not only offensively, but I think especially defensively, which I know sounds crazy to say that James Harden is an upgrade on defense at all. But yeah, I think that shows how bad Darius Garland was, whether that was because of his injuries or not. I think it was more size than his injuries. But yeah, the Celtics are my favorite team. The Cavs are my second favorite team, mainly because Donovan Mitchell is my favorite player in the league. But that being said, though I think the Cavs might have the higher ceiling, I do think that James Harden sets James, like it's not so much James Harden, it's late series James Harden. Once games 6 and 7 come around, then it's a matter of him just totally collapsing. Like the series usually gets too long for him. So floor. Yeah, Knicks have the highest floor. I'd probably say I guess the Cavs probably have the second highest floor. Maybe if not, maybe the Celtics. But I don't know. I've fallen for the James Harden. I'm doing two things this year. I'm not falling for James Harden going far in the playoffs. I'm also not falling for the Clippers going far. Even when I know they just blew it up, but even when they were playing well for a little bit, I'm like, nope, I'm not falling for it this year, even though I always do. But yeah, I definitely think it's one of those 4 teams that will come out of the East. But who knows what'll happen in the long run though. But yeah, we have a couple months to think so.
You know what? I completely forgot, and this slipped my mind. I had to just go look at the standings again. The Philadelphia 76ers have a chance, and I'll say this.
Okay.
I was watching some stuff from Joel Embiid's trainer actually this morning, where he was saying like Embiid's been playing himself into shape. He hasn't been able to train or work out. Everything you're seeing in game, what he's been able to do. I'm a big Joel Embiid fan. I think he's one of the best players in the league. I think he's actually one of the best players ever, but we never get to see it for extended periods. So if they can get healthy, I'm not sure when Paul George will return, but I believe in the team. I think Maxi's a stud. If you get Embiid 70% back from where he was his MVP season, and then you have to rely on Paul George as a third or a fourth option, and VJ Edgecombe, if he can just be consistent as a rookie, that team is dangerous, because I don't think there's anyone in the Eastern Conference who can guard Embiid one-on-one. I don't think there's anybody in the league who could really guard him one-on-one. So if you can surround him with some consistent perimeter play, they could do it. If James Harden would have closed, like you were just talking about Harden, fumbling in those late game series, they should have been in the Eastern Conference Finals. but it just didn't work out that way. So maybe things will break for them this year.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought because I for one have counted out the Sixers for sure because just because it seems like nothing ever works out for them. But yeah, when you think about it, yeah, this is the healthiest Embiid has looked in the past couple months. Tyrese Maxey is looking like a top 10 player. VJ Edgecombe is he the second? He's definitely top 5. Is he the second best rookie? Do we think
Probably
I
top
would
5.
say
You
it's-
got Knuckle, yeah, and
Knipple,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so yeah, definitely top 5 and probably top 3, honestly. Yep. Paul George, I'm not really sure which version of Paul George exists. Like he probably doesn't need to be that all NBA version that we know and love him as. But yeah, who knows what the Sixers ceiling could be if things work out for them, which usually things don't work out for them. So that's kind of why I counted them out in the first place. But I'm not really sure what to think. John, Matt, what do you think?
Jay, you should have come on last week. We had our first Sixer fan on. My buddy Drew came on, and he loves the Sixers. He falls for it every year. But I will say, out of the teams mentioned, I was about to say this for the Celtics, but now that you brought up the Sixers, I would say it's the Sixers. I think it's the difference, like the biggest difference between their floor and their ceiling is the Philadelphia 76ers. Like you said, their ceiling technically is making it to the NBA Finals as everything goes right for them, but then their floor could be getting crushed in the first round if Embiid gets hurt and misses some time, and then they fall to like a 7 seed or they're in the play-in or something like that. But I would say a lot of things have to go right. They do have underrated depth. The Sixers have, but I'm not entirely sure if I think they're on a separate tier than the 4 teams that we mentioned just because of how many question marks they have.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you have something to say about the Sixers, I was going to move on to the next thing.
No, we can move on. I mean, I kind of echo both of your statements.
Cool.
I think question marks.
So
they can make a
so I was going to mix the Sixers in with this group, but after that, it's the and I know these teams are separate by standings, but the Raptors are the 5 seed, Sixers 6, and then it's the playing team. So it's the Magic, the Heat. Then there's a drop off. The Hornets, who are red hot, like 9-1 in their last 10. And the Hawks, who I don't even know. I don't want to say blow it up because like the only thing that they did was trade Trae Young, but
Porzingis.
Oh yeah, Porzingis too. So out of these teams, I don't even know what I want to ask, but I know that Paulo Banchero has been one of the main guys trending, talking about how much of a fraud he is. I'm someone who was I was high on him, and then like end of last season, I was like okay, this guy's a constant negative on the floor, but I almost feel like I almost feel like it's one of those things to where like a player, it's kind of like Trae Young, where like I think he was overrated for a while, then he became underrated, then overrated, and I feel like Paolo has become a little underrated according to social media at the very least. I don't know, Matt, what do you think? What do you think about this?
I totally agree about Paolo becoming underrated all of a sudden. He has been super inefficient though. He can't. His jumper has been a huge question mark his entire career, and it's really showing this year. And I guess that's just what happens when you start with no expectations with this team, with the Magic in Paolo's case, and they outperform expectations. You become slightly overrated, and then when you have expectations, you don't meet them, or maybe the team just isn't good enough. You get a little more hate, and then you start becoming underrated. But Carson Breber from Nerd Sesh has this tweet. Paolo's played 43 games this season. Oh, I just lost it. Hold on. Give me 1 sec. Sorry. He's played 43 games this season and has a EFG percent of 31.5 on pull-up jumpers. There's 60 other players to attempt 180 pull-ups this year, and not a single one has an EFG under 40%. So he's clearly dead last in that realm. He is the worst jump shooter, like a volume jump shooter in the NBA right now by the numbers. And it just kind of stinks because he's number 1 pick. He was supposed to be like the savior of that franchise, and it looked like it for a little bit. But he's got some shoes to fill, and he hasn't been playing up to expectations. Now Franz is hurt for they don't even know when he's coming back. So it's a very disappointing year for the Magic.
Yeah, I feel like this is a team that just can't get right. Like people thought the pieces would work out. You land a big trade, you bring in somebody who you think is going to shoot 40% from three. It doesn't work out. The team configuration doesn't make sense. They seem like they're better when Paolo's not playing, but will that translate to the playoffs? And it's disappointing. I've liked Paolo since he came out of Duke, so I want to see him do well, but it's just like maybe it's the way that they're using him. They wanted to use him as a point forward for a little while. That didn't really work out. Maybe he is settling for jumpers too much. Maybe he does need to be around the rim a lot more and finish at a higher percentage, but it just seems like a team with no identity. And that's a bad look right now, especially when you have like we've been talking about the whole time. The conference is wide open. Who is going to play to their full potential? And the Magic just have not done that at all.
The Paolo thing is just really puzzling to me because we're like less than a year removed from him averaging like 27, 8, and 5 on 45% from the field. That's like respectable for that kind of volume, I think, especially because he does take a lot of jump shots. I don't know. It's so weird to me to think how that happens so quickly. And, it could just be kind of like a house of cards. One thing goes wrong in that team and it kind of puts a lot more pressure on Banchero. But I don't know. My old head take about him was always that he should be like going to the hoop more often instead of taking jump shots because he's like 6'10", Again, like last year that they played the Celtics in that first series and he seemed unguardable at times. And the Celtics had a good team defense. Like this was when they still had, Drew and Jalen on the perimeter. It's weird. Maybe he's fighting an injury or something, but just seems like anything that has happened to him just hasn't worked out this year.
Yeah, there were a lot of people doing some clip comparisons from him at Duke versus Cam Boozer at Duke. And I was just watching him it's college, but he was just bullying people to the rim. And he has that size advantage in the NBA too. It's just he's not really using it to his advantage. So maybe it's the offensive scheme that they have laid out for him, but something's not clicking.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I was someone who said their ceiling was probably like conference finals this year. But yeah, it's looking like they're going to be a playing team and probably not get past the first round. So, yeah, they already gave away 3 first-round picks for Desmond Bane, so I don't know what their plan is going to be. But however, maybe first-round picks aren't going to be a thing anymore, according to our commissioners. So that's going to be that's going to be maybe that'll be a good, lovely solution for them, or get out of jail free card. But yeah, I guess the last team I want to talk about in the East is the Charlotte Hornets. I'm someone who's been very, very low in the Charlotte Hornets for a long time. I'm a big fan of Charles Lee, who used to coach the Celtics. Always been pretty low on LaMelo Ball's game. I think, even though he puts up big numbers, I feel like that's his style of play doesn't really translate to winning. But however, he's had a great season. So has Concanople has been looking like we said, like a top three rookie. And like I said, not winning 9 out of 10, that's huge. And again, like I don't think they can win a playoff series this year, but I think they can get past the play-in tournaments. But I'm just interested to see what's next for the Hornets because, like if they finish around 500 this year, I think that's more than enough of a win for the season for them.
Yeah, I think the question is, do they want to win? Like the draft is so deep this year. Do you really want to be good? Do you want to make the playoffs and then you get swept in the first round? Is it worth it? Versus, getting a lottery pick or a chance at a lottery pick. So for them, it's like the team is really young. There's never been a winning history for the franchise. I like LaMelo Ball, but like you said, it's a lot of empty buckets. The play style doesn't really translate to winning. Brandon Miller is great. Concanople is great, but what is the team's identity? What is the goal, right? They haven't had a goal since Jordan left, and I don't think Jordan really had a goal. So what are we doing here in Charlotte? I think they need to figure that out, and then that will tell the public how we should feel about them.
Yeah, the 4 best offenses since the new year as of 2 days ago. As everyone expects, it's the Timberwolves, Celtics, Cavs, and Hornets. The 4 top teams in the NBA. But that's points per 100 possessions. That's how they tracked it. Jay, I agree. Like, should the Hornets be winning right now? Is the core going to be Miller, Ball, and Concanople with Kalkbrenner as one of their starting pieces? Or like are they going to get rid of either Miller or Ball and build around the other two? Like, I think they have some questions to be answered, but they're again one of the surprises this year. They've been playing pretty well, especially in the last 15 or so games since the new year, definitely. But yeah, they're surprising. But like you said, Jay, I totally agree. They have some questions to be answered.
I think also that, like, all that being said, if you asked the Hornets at the beginning of the year, you'd have the, like, I guess, kind of choice whether you want to win or like kind of tank. They'd probably take that choice, just because I think expectations have been so low there for so long. Matt, you make a good point. Like, I think they do have the option to, in the big three, quote unquote, of LaMelo, Con Knippel, and Brandon Miller. Like, you have the option to kind of keep two and try to get something for one of them. And I think LaMelo probably carries some value in a trade, but they have options, and I think obviously they're not really I don't see them making a deep playoff run this year, but I don't know. We'll see.
Good stuff. So, yeah, that's our take in the East. But however, we'll go out west now. I don't know how long.
Chris, I got one more team.
Go ahead. I know what you're gonna say.
My Washington Wizards this year. It might not be this year, but it's coming. They have a future. Trust the Wizards. I'm gonna be screaming this until it happens.
They're making some good moves. I will say that this is the smartest they've been in a very long time. So I'll give you that.
And maybe we're comparing it to the Wizards front office from the past, so that's why I'm like, holy crap, they're making some great moves, and maybe they're just like okay moves. But I like the Wizards' future. I think they got a couple of very solid players, which Sarr and Johnson, and I mean they traded for Trae Young and Anthony Davis, which I don't know how many games they'll actually play for them, but I like a lot of the young guys there, and they seem to have a good core. They seem to all like each other. So I also took their over this year in wins, and it's coming down to the wire. So we'll see. But I like the Wizards.
Sounds good. All right, so we'll go out west now, where we'll go top to bottom like we did before. But the Thunder currently have a 3-game lead over the Spurs. They're 5-5 in their last 10. I know that Shea missed the last 3 games. I think it was 3 games. And obviously he's like super reliant to their offense. Oh no, he's not reliant. They rely on him big time for their offense. I say their defense is great without him. Don't get me wrong, but in order for them to be one of the best offense league, they obviously need Shea. And I don't think it should be an issue too much long term. But this year is interesting because last year I think they won 68 games. I think 68 or 67 games. I forgot how much was it, but
I think it was 68, but I could be wrong.
It was 68. Okay, yeah. So that's 14 losses. They already have 14 losses this year, which obviously 42 and 14 is nothing to scoff at for sure. But and obviously they already broke the 42 broke the 40-20 rule. So that part isn't concerning, but they just seem much more vulnerable this year, which I know a lot of people said that last year. I for one had them losing in the second round to the Clippers, but that was more of a matchup thing than it was me more of hating the Thunder thing. But even though like they had their critics last year for sure, they just seem so much more beatable this year. I don't know if I'm overanalyzing the defending champs, but I don't know, Jay. What do you think?
When this season started, people were saying that this is an all-time great team. They're going to beat the 73-9 record. And I think now people are just realizing how hard it is to win in the NBA and how hard it is to win back-to-back. It's taxing on the body. Like, look at the nagging injuries that are coming up for them. It's taxing on the mind, and it's taxing on the press, asking you questions over and over again. So it's not easy. So I think it's a great team. I think it's a great bench. It's a great coach. It's a great front office, but it's just really hard to do this, back to back. And like you said, their offense is reliant on Shea scoring a bunch. And if he's not scoring effectively, then what does the offense look like if they're not knocking down those threes? If they're hitting open threes, if they're hitting contested threes, this is the best team in the NBA. When they're not hitting those shots, they're regressing down to the mean and the medium. So I think Denver can give them a good run if Denver is healthy. San Antonio, obviously, has beaten them in the regular season consistently. So San Antonio has a shot. So I don't think this is a lock for them to get to the finals. I think this team can take a loss, and I think losing is a part of growth. So I don't want to see them go back to back because I don't even want to think about the narratives. If Shea wins back to back Finals MVPs, what people are going to start saying and conversations are going to start putting him in. So let's see what happens.
Can you tell that he's a Steph fan based on that statement?
Yeah. Listen, it'll be Steph, it'll be Magic, it'll be Isaiah. Like the conversations will be astronomical if he gets there.
Absolutely. Matt, anything else to add on to that? Yeah, that was a beautiful rant, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, like you said, people were talking about, they're going to go 73-9, which, I mean, it's literally like, it's so hard to go back to back. I mean, it hasn't been done since those Warriors teams, and with Kevin Durant, they're like the greatest teams ever. They're still plus 135 to win the whole thing. So, like, clearly the general consensus is that they're the best team in the league, and they've shown it time and time again. But Chris, you mentioned this, like last year in the playoffs, the banged up Nuggets took them to 7, and Jokic had a pretty bad game 7. Gordon played on like one hamstring, and it came down to the wire. And then obviously the finals went to 7-2. The Pacers almost had them, so they definitely are a beatable team, but they are 42-14, and we're talking like it's like a disappointing start so far to the year. That just shows you how good this team is. They are deep, and they do have a top 3, arguably top 2 player in the league right now in SGA. So boringly, they're probably still my pick to win the finals, but like Jay said, it's so hard to go back to back that's why I'm hesitant, not because of anything that their team, any like gripe I have with their team or any negative I see in their team, I should say.
Yeah, no, I think, I totally agree with you guys. I think it's easy to say that they're beatable, right? Because it's, you're picking 14 other teams to beat them instead of just them. I think, I kind of related to the Celtics. The Celtics won the championship in 2024. They won 64 games that year, probably walked through most of the playoffs. Well, it didn't really feel that way during the games. They went 16-3. They essentially brought the entire team back, and then they're a second round exit that year. And it's not like they really underperformed too much last regular season. They won 61 games, so it's just super, super hard to go back to back. And I think that with how good the Spurs and the Nuggets have been, it's definitely a possibility. But Matt, again, like you said, what are they, 46-14 or something like that?
42-14.
42-14. It's, I think sometimes teams are just so good that you kind of run out of good things to say about them. And, the narrative almost gets forced a little bit.
Absolutely. So speaking of the teams that we mentioned, so they currently have a 3-game lead on the Spurs, 6.5 on the Nuggets, 7.5 on the Rockets, 8 on the Lakers, and 8 on the Timberwolves as well. And then below that are the playing teams, starting with the Suns, who are 9.5, who are only a game and a half behind the Wolves. But I still think they're clearly a tier below those teams. And we'll talk about the playing teams in a minute. But Jay, out of the teams I just mentioned, so the Spurs, the Nuggets, it's a lot of teams here, but like this, the Spurs, the Nuggets, the Rockets, the Lakers, and the Wolves. Which one do you think might have the best shot at picking them off?
I like the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a team I picked to go to the Western Conference Finals a couple years in a row, and I was early on them. I believe in Ant Edwards 100%. I think the team is constructed defensively great. I think the only thing this team has ever been missing is a good point guard. I think if they had anyone else other than Mike Conley as a point guard, they would have been in the finals. I just think they were missing someone who would calm the offense down, who would get them to the right shot, who could help, keep Ant even keeled throughout the game. This team should have been in the finals and probably should have won the finals already. So if there's a team that's going to beat the Thunder, I think it's the Timberwolves. I think they match up great defensively. You have rim protection. You have outside defenders. You got Jaden McDaniels on the wing. I'll take that team all day. I believe in Ant.
Nice.
I'm a huge Timberwolves guy in this pod here, usually more than John and Chris. So I'm happy that we have another Timberwolves guy on the pod today. I do agree. I like the way this team is constructed. However, I would still take the Nuggets over the Wolves. I would say I do think the Wolves are still missing that guy that could settle down the offense in a playoff atmosphere. And I always have a hard time picking against Jokic. I think this is probably his best team that he's had in recent years, probably since 2023, since he won that finals. And this is like kind of maybe a stupid take that I think his injury could help him in the playoffs. That he's missed some time. He's gonna be more rested and have less miles on him this year. Um, and I think the Spurs are just a little too young. I think it's kind of like the Pistons. I think they need to have their heart broken a couple times in the playoffs to break through. So if it's not the Thunder, I would pick the Nuggets. I know that's kind of a boring, average take that everyone gives, but maybe that's for a reason. I think they're the two best teams in the West.
Yeah, I don't mean to run it back again on you, Matt, but I have the Nuggets as my pick as well. I have Nikola Jokic in both of my fantasy leagues, so I have so much respect for that man. He's made my life really easy this year. But no, I think, and Matt, to your point about, kind of kept a couple miles off of Jokic, missing those games, that could be true, could be valid. But I also think that this is the best team he's had around him. They didn't just really tread water when he was out. People thought they would probably be below 500. They kind of maintained their pace, which is almost pretty impressive. I would love, and I think Chris, you've brought up a couple of times over-unders that we picked at the beginning of the year. I think I was like pretty high on the over for the Rockets, just because I thought that team was going to be so much more fun. And I get that they're 4 seed in the West, so it's not really so bad, but I feel like they've underperformed like my expectations a little bit. Still a lot of time to put it all together, but I think they're a team that's they're lacking a little bit offensively. But long-winded answer to say the Nuggets.
Yeah, I think Fred VanVleet tearing his ACL like right before the season started. Then Adams is out for the year too. I maybe it's stupid, but I'm just completely counting out the Rockets for the rest of the way, especially with the Kevin Durant, the KD files that came out on Twitter. I don't think that will help the locker room a lot either.
It's crazy. Jay, I don't even. It may have even been you. I know you made a video on it, but someone pointed out, it's not like this is like an Anthony Edwards or I'm pretty sure it was Nick Wright actually that pointed this out. Now that I say it, it's like it was Anthony Edwards. It's not like it was Jalen Brown's older, so it would be exclusive for him. But it's not like it's like a rookie or someone that's in their early 20s. Kevin Durant is in year 18, I think. So this is just baffling. And again, these are only allegations, and I know that's. And he had the typical Kevin Durant answer saying yesterday, he's like, "Oh, I'm not focused on Twitter. I'm focused on what's going on in the locker room here." If that's true, clearly you're not. But it's bonkers for sure.
Yeah, things like that ruin relationships. And the team didn't really seem like they were too tight anyway. So now something like that coming out really just exposes all the cracks offensively, like you said, without Fred VanVleet. Who's the point guard there? Who's going to make the right reads? Who's going to play tough? Who's going to be the vocal leader? Because we know that KD doesn't really like that role. And Fred VanVleet is a champion who could fill that void and be that steady voice of reason. That's not who KD is. And I think what we've seen time and time again since KD has left the Warriors is he just comes up a bit short in the playoffs because he needs someone out there who can draw just as much attention as him. There's nobody on the Rockets who can do that. In fact, their offensive shortcomings draw even more attention to KD. So right now, I don't trust that team in any fourth quarter or any overtime. So I can't buy into the Rockets, at all. I think it looked good on paper, or it was a great story that they got him, but it doesn't seem to be working out to me at all.
100%. Couldn't agree with you more.
I will say.
Go ahead, Matt.
Sorry, Chris. Do you wanna give your spiel?
No, not at all. Yeah, go ahead.
I will say, I briefly mentioned them, the San Antonio Spurs. I know they're young, and that's why we're kind of counting them out. But I think there's totally a world where they make the finals. They come out of the West. When Victor Wembanyama is healthy and on the floor, it's like crazy watching him play. And the team around him is really, really good too. I mean, we're huge Steph Castle guys on this pod. I mean, Dylan Harper has slowed down a little bit after his hot start, but you can tell his talent's there. And their defense is obviously with Wemby, it's amazing. But even they got other defenders that are very, very good besides Wemby on their team. They match up well with the Thunder, and you see time and time again, when a team wins, a lot of teams around the league build their team to beat that team. Like you see when the Celtics won, the Knicks got Anunoby and Bridges to guard Tatum and Brown, and it worked last year. And then this year, the Spurs, I don't know if it was, the purpose of beating the Thunder, but they got a lot of long defensive guys to match up well with the Thunder. So even though they are young, I do think there's a world where the Spurs make it out of the West.
Yeah, I agree actually. I'm not gonna weigh too much in the fact that they're I don't know if they're 3-0 or 4-0 or three. I don't even know if the Thunder beating them up since then. But yeah, the hot start to the year, beating up on the Thunder every time, being it seemed like they were the kryptonite. But however, the Thunder have lost to more teams since. Yeah, so there's not you can't really hold that much weight to it, especially because the Celtics swept the Knicks in the regular season last year. But at the end of the year, it doesn't really show that they're better, but it shows that they can hang with them at the very least. So um yeah, if the two of them run into each other in the playoffs, that'd be extremely fun for sure. Good talk. So now that we're done with the contenders, now we'll dive down to the playing teams. So the Suns, the Warriors, the Blazers, and the Clippers are currently the playing teams. And then there's a dip. It seems like unless the Suns climb up and overtake any of the teams out there, it seems like the Warriors, the Blazers, and the Clippers are probably going to be the playing teams they're because they're like 5.5 games ahead of the Grizzlies, who obviously have no incentive to win as well. So now, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong. So, are you a Steph Curry fan or are you a Warriors fan, or both? What do you consider
I'm
yourself?
Steph. So by proxy, I'm a Warriors fan.
Got it. Okay. So, what was the report? What did the report come out today? Say they said that he was clean, but like he needs some time off. I think is that what it was?
So they're still describing it as runner's knee. So it's just soreness and swelling after any kind of intense, even after the workouts over the All-Star break. And today, the knee is just not right. And I think it's just an age thing and a mileage thing. So they're not going to put any rush on Steph to return. I mean, like you already described, they're going to be in the play-in. That's where they will fall. So whether it's, the 8th seed or the 10th seed, to them, I don't think it makes a difference. So they can drop a few games. Porzingis isn't going to get back out onto the court and really be playing full games until Steph is back anyway. So I think the Warriors, there's a sigh of relief because Kuminga is gone, but there's also a bit of disappointment. I mean, when the guy you're targeting is Giannis and you bring back Porzingis, that has to deflate the team. It has to deflate Steph. Draymond's name was in a bunch of trade rumors. It has to deflate him as well because he's aging. He's not producing the same. So how does he feel now that he knows his name was dangled in the trade rumors? He answered it professionally, but the ego takes a hit. So you already know when Steph is not playing, Draymond is not too motivated to be out there on the court. So I am a bit worried. So I don't have any expectations for this team going into the playoffs if they're not 100% healthy and unless Steph feels that he has a chance of winning a ring. And I don't think he feels that this year.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're thinking for the future because I think they decided 3 years ago that Kuminga was going to be the guy, and he was on the trade market for a while, and they just tried to they just tried to patch that tire for way too long, saying like, okay, we know that you're not great, but we still want to work with you to see the best you can be. And then Steve Kerr just said like, no, fuck that, we're gonna let him ride the bench in the playoffs or leading up to the playoffs. And yeah, and then this year this year they gave him the big enough contract, and then it just turned out to be nothing. So yeah, obviously they signed Horford, they traded for Jimmy. Yeah, the Jimmy and Steph duo was looking like one of the better ones in the league, especially when the two of them were on the court together. But when you build your team around, yeah, and I still think that's I still think that Steph Curry is a top 10 player in the league. Like when he's playing, I still like he's been great this year. I think he's been very underrated. But just that he's older now, when you surround him with older players, Jimmy Butler, Al Horford, and when you surround him with those types of players, the ceiling on your team, or the ceiling on your team is going to be limited, and the floor on your team is going to be plummeted because of how many old guys you got. So I am curious to see what they'll do, what their idea of rebuilding is going to. I don't know if they're going to see it as rebuilding or what their exact idea is going to be.
Yeah, I think the direction is probably going to be once you get to the summer, you see how Porzingis does. It's a free ticket with him right now. You still got 4 first-round picks to deal with, so maybe you take another swing at Giannis in the summer. But Steph still wants to win. I think, like you said, he's still one of the 10 best players in the game. I think he's probably the only, or probably one of 4 or 5 guards who can be the best player on a team who can compete for a championship. So they owe it to him to give him a shot because I don't think he's going to leave. So you got to give him one more chance, use those draft picks, move some contracts if you need it, and get him a young player to run with because he hasn't had a running mate. And the last time he had a legitimate running mate who was healthy, he won a ring. If Jimmy and him are healthy last year, that team is a threat to go to the finals. But like you said, we just never got a chance to see it because they're both, hobbled.
Absolutely. John, Matt, anything on on any of the playing teams?
Not really. I feel like a lot of these teams don't really have a major chance to compete this year.
Yeah.
I will say the Trailblazers are kind of interesting to me. I feel like next year that I don't know about win or come out of the West next year, but I feel like they will be a tough team. Like you'll be annoyed to play them in a playoff series. Obviously with Denny, but then Dame's back next year. Kling seems like he's a real franchise center. Yang Hansen is kind of a question mark. It seems like he's not really an NBA guy, but he is I think he's 19 years old or something. So he could make a leap next year. And you got Drew Holiday. I don't know if you try to move off the Drew Holiday contract because I don't think that's going to age well, but he's having a pretty solid year, even though he's missed some time. And yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of solid guys on that team. So I think they'll be a fun team to watch next year.
For sure. All right, good talk, guys. So, so that's our current talk for the day. So now we're going to move on to a fun game, more so along the lines of NBA history. So a couple weeks ago, Matt and I did the same game. It's just called the Teammates Draft. So I'm about to share my screen and I'm going to spin two wheels. So one of them is going to be the order of the drafts, and the other one is going to be basically what I did was I copied and pasted my top 100 players of all time. But then I took out some of the older heads. And I didn't take out all the older heads. It was more so the guys like Jerry Lucas. I have no idea who his best teammate was. Dolph Shays, who was his best teammates. Even Rick Barry, he's who won a ring, is the best person on the team. Jay, do you know who the second best player on the team was? Because I don't.
Oh, on that Warriors team, I don't know.
Yeah. And you probably know more well than any of us here. So I think I took out most of the. There were a couple guys that I left standing, and I'm like, okay, maybe we can find someone there. This will be one of those drafts where I will not that I can stop you anyway, but I will accept you guys going on your phones just to check to see if I fact check it for sure, because it is a little tough, but it is a fun game though for sure. Yeah, Matt and I had fun last time. So yeah, what we're gonna do is I think we're just gonna make it starting 5 plus a 6th man, just so we can just so we can make the teams even. But yeah, any questions?
No, I'm good to go.
No, all right, cool. So let me share real quick. Might take me a second. All right, here we go. So the first pick in this draft will go to. Oh yeah, it's going to our guests. Welcome to the show, Jay. So it's funny. Most of the time, I say that having the number 1 pick is the worst case scenario because of the turnaround. But I don't. But that's not I don't think that's the case here because we don't know who we're gonna draft. So second pick will go to me. Looks like. And the third pick will go to. Looks going to go to John. So Matt will have the turnaround.
That's good. That's what I wanted.
So I think there's a way for me to get rid of this. To get rid of the first one, probably. Yeah, wheel 1. Remove rule 1. Okay, cool. So now we're strictly on. Here's 90 something players, maybe 80 something players, all time greats. Jay, you ready for me to spin the wheel?
I'm good to go. So I can pick any player they played with, or it has to be a player from the championship team.
No, it could be any player they played with. Okay. And keep in. Okay, I forgot one more thing I forgot to mention is that it's not just how they were playing when they were playing together. It's who they were at their peak. So an example could be Chris Paul. Yes. So if I spun the wheel and Shea was the answer, Chris Paul is probably his best teammate all time because of who he was at his peak. Like J-Dub is probably his best teammate that he's played with. On the team, but Chris Paul would be the better answer because we're doing it based on peaks, not based on how they were when they played with their teammates.
Got you. Okay, good to go.
All right,
it makes it so much harder.
Yeah, it does make it harder for sure. Yeah. All right, so Jay's first pick will be a teammate of. Probably can't read it from here, but it will be a teammate of Kevin Johnson.
All right, so I gotta go Charles Barkley at my 4.
That's probably the best pick. Is Charles
Well,
Barkley.
for now, I might move my positions around depending on what happens, but that's
Oh,
my
yeah, of
starting
course.
4 right now.
Absolutely. All right, so I will be next, and I'm going to be taking a teammate of the Big O. Great start for me. I'll be taking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Damn.
A little better start for me than Jay.
Yeah.
Although Chuck is great though, so yeah. But John's next pick will be a teammate of good.
Nice.
Oh, nice. I get to ease into this one. That was really nice. God knew I was getting a little nervous. He gave me a nice shoe, and I'll take Larry Bird at my 3.
All right, and Matt's first player will be a teammate of, and then he'll have the turnaround after that. So not as nice to Matt and Jay as it was to me and John.
Yeah.
The first round.
Let's see. Is Willis Reed the second best player on those Knicks teams?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, all right, I'll take him there.
Yeah. He won both Finals MVPs, even though one of them was bogus. But
I'll take Willis
and
Reed.
Yeah, and Matt has the turnarounds. You will pick a teammate of. Oh, it's going to be one or the other.
Damn.
For Kobe. Oh, very nice. This is a little easier. I'll take Shaquille O'Neal.
Going big. Love to see it.
Yes.
All right. And John's second pick will be a teammate of. Paul George. This is an interesting one.
I don't know.
Just go through the teams and good. Just go through the teams in your head to see who he's played with. I think there's an obvious answer here, but like I know some people might disagree.
I guess I think I'm gonna pick James Harden.
Okay.
Ooh. Nice.
All right. So the next pick for me will be a teammate of. Yes. Oh, thank God. I was hoping I didn't have to, wasn't gonna have to draft Wes Unseld, but so my teammate of Gary Payton. I already have Kareem, so yeah. Oh yeah, and Shaq is already drafted. So yeah, I will take I'll take Kobe Bryant.
Now let me ask you a question. Can someone else take Kobe, or is Kobe off the board completely?
I'd say Kobe's off the board, I'd say.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it makes,
Oh,
it makes
okay.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jay.
Christian.
So your next player is a teammate of another son, Amari Stoudemire.
I don't want to take this person. Yeah, I really don't want to. I don't like either one of these guys. I don't like people who don't win rings, man. I got one ringless guy.
I was gonna say, yeah, I don't know which one you were talking about, but then you started talking about both. So
I'm gonna. I'll take Melo right now.
all right, not who I would have gone with, but yeah, I definitely love the strategy for sure. And Jay's next pick with the turnaround will be a teammate of. Rob Cousy.
I have to take Bill Russell.
I think you do. I think that's your best bet.
You said you don't like guys that didn't win rings, and you know.
And on the other hand, you had debatably the two best rebounders of all time in your team. So that's at least one strength. So I literally did my research before this, but I completely forgot who's the best teammate of Nate Thurman.
I feel like I just saw Nate's name the other day.
Because he was on like a couple of those elite teams. Like, was he on the Lakers at one point? I don't remember, but you know what? We mentioned his name. I don't know if he was on those teams. I think he might have been on the team, but I'm gonna go with Rick Barry actually.
Okay.
Trend of drafting top 10 players of all time is ending right now, but that's okay. Yeah, John's next pick will be a teammate of Karl Malone.
Yeah, I gotta go Stockton.
Yeah, especially because Shaq and Kobe are off the board.
Yeah.
And then Matt's next pick is a teammate of Tim Hardaway.
Ooh, close.
Tim Hardaway. Let's see. I have two big guys.
I'm pretty sure there's an obvious answer here. I'm pretty sure there is.
Was he drafted? Was he on the? He wasn't on the Heat when Wade was there.
Was he not?
No. Do I go super big here? I'm gonna go with Dirk. I'm going huge.
All right.
He wasn't on the Heat with Wade, so
No, he wasn't. I thought he was,
Yeah,
but yeah, so
me
that's
too.
that's why I said obvious. But yeah, you could have gone with Dirk. Dirk was our choice, but you also could have gone with Chris Mullin there too.
Yeah, St. John's guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and your next guy, Matt, will be a teammate of Robert Parrish.
Oh, damn it. I mean, I can't go Mikhail because that means I would have all power forwards. I'll go with Dennis Johnson.
Yeah.
1979 Finals MVP. So that's a awesome pick. All right, and John's next pick will be a teammate of. Oh, jeez.
Is this the wraparound for Matt, or is it me?
No, he did the
I went
wraparound.
twice.
Teammate of James Harden.
Kevin Durant.
Oh my God. Parrish played for the Bulls in 1996.
Did he really? Oh my God.
Oh, I did not know that.
Neither did I.
Oh my God, that sucks.
Oh, that's a bummer. What if I just land on Pippen here too? All right, come on. Yes. All right. I'll be drafting. I'll be drafting Chilton's guy, Tim Duncan. All right, Jay, you got you got the wraparound here. So you're picking a teammate of Shaq, and keep in mind Kobe is also off the board. So you still got more than a couple options though.
Yeah, I got some options here. I really need some shooting. Shaq. He played for. Damn. I need shooting, but whatever. I'll take LeBron.
Yeah, that's the right choice.
Yeah.
You can cover both. I know LeBron works best with shooters, but it's LeBron. So, all right, and then your other pick will be a teammate of Manu Ginobili.
This is like the worst jump shooting team of all time.
I might have you beat there, actually.
Damn.
You got Dirk. What are you talking about?
There's no other shooting guards. Someone took Kawhi, right?
No.
No, right? No.
John took Harden
Okay.
over Kawhi.
I have the most physically imposing team of all time. LeBron at the 1. I'll take Kawhi at the 2.
Nice.
And Melo at the 3. That is
Melo at the 3.
that's a big team.
A big team.
It's very good. If it's outside of Melo, it's very good defensively. Actually, Chuck wasn't really the best defender either, but And with my pick, I will be taking a teammate of. Come on, move. Damn it. Okay. Teammate of Russell Westbrook. Okay, LeBron's off the board. So is KD. Need a point guard. Do I? John took Harden to KD. So let's see. He was on the Thunder for most of his career. Not most of his career. So like most of his prime. So he was able to play with. Is Paul George my best bet? But he's not a point guard. Victor Oladipo played point guard for a little bit, but he was mostly shooting guard. Then he was traded to the Rockets for Chris Paul. I don't think did he ever play with Chris Paul? I don't think so. This is good podcasting right here, but he was with the Rockets for one season. Then he was traded to the Wizards, where he played with Bradley Beal and a couple others. Then to the Lakers, where he played with LeBron and AD. I'm already pretty big, but do I go with just like the best player here and then worry about getting a guard for my next guy? Because technically, I never said you had to go with like the last player has to be your sixth man.
Sure.
But now, wait. So he was on the Lakers, and then he moved to the. Who was he without the Lakers? He was with the Clippers
Last year, his team last year.
Last year was with the Nuggets, and now he's with the Kings. So could honestly go Jokic too, but I don't think that's the best direction either. Damn. You know what? I really don't know, but I'm like at the end of the day, I do have the best center and the best power forward of all time. So it would feel silly to take another center or power forward. You know, small forward is my weakness, so I'm going to go with the small forward here. I am going to take Paul George instead.
Not bad.
I can't believe I missed that. I can't believe I missed out on Michael Jordan.
That's tough.
Yeah, and John's pick will be a teammate of Shea, it looks like. Yep.
And that one though.
I don't have any big man.
I'll trade you one.
You guys took all of them. Okay, so I think I have to pick a big man because I have my 5 open and a bench spot, but I guess I could always just go bench. Chris, who did you just take?
Paul George.
Yeah, that would have been the next one to take.
Well, no, they were traded for each other, so that actually wouldn't have been one to take.
What about has Chris Paul been taken yet?
He is not. I don't think so, right?
I think I'm gonna have to go Chris Paul as my guard off the bench.
All right.
And now I have to take a center back.
Well, yeah, I had to do the same thing with the point guard, so we're in the same boat. But
There was
all right, Matt.
Come on, Scottie Pippen.
All right, Matt has the last 2 picks here.
Scottie Pippen.
Worst.
All right, give me a second here, guys.
You know who
Hal
is? You know,
Greer.
do you know who his best teammate all time is though?
Hal Greer.
Yes,
Is it Wilt?
it is Wilt.
I can't do that. I literally
I
cannot.
know you can't.
Who's on this? Damn.
Dude, it's like I know we're allowed to like look stuff up, but it's even like hard to do that.
Yes, it is.
Like it's hard to cheat at this game.
I don't even know who else I could pick besides Will, Chris.
Okay.
So who do I got? I got Dirk, Shaq, Willis Reed. I can't take Will. I can't take Will.
Hang on a second, Matt. Let me see if I can help you here.
Let me see.
Oh, jeez. Well, Larry Costello was one of the main role players. He's a guard. Let me see what else here.
Great podcasting.
Yeah, tremendous. But yeah, on both ends. But what else we got here? And none of these guys ring a bell whatsoever, but that's okay.
Let me go.
There's Mike Price. I wonder if he's related to Mark Price.
I'm gonna go with Archie Clark.
Okay.
He came in 12th in MVP voting. He averaged 25 in 1970. So get ready, guys. Who needs Michael Jordan?
All right, Matt. So your last pick. You know, for a fact, to be one of the Spurs, so that the teammates of Hakeem Olajuwon.
Okay.
At least you didn't get the teammate of Hakeem Olajuwon.
Would have been funnier if it was Clyde. That would have been much funnier.
Yeah, I guess I'll take Clyde.
I kind of gave you the answer there, but
yeah, he's the right choice.
Yeah, you would have figured that out anyway. But
yeah.
All right, John. So your last pick
has to be a center.
All right, so keep in mind Bob Agnew was on a couple of those Lakers teams, but that was with Kareem, who
was already taken.
Yeah. Let's see. Who was so I'm trying to think of when he was with the Celtics. Was he playing with a couple of those? Check here 1 second.
God damn it.
Oh, could do you need a center, John? Like definitely.
Yeah.
So the
good center on the.
No, were you going to say Celtics?
No, on the Sixers.
Wait, did he play for the Sixers?
Yeah, last year.
Okay, his last year. There's also one of the Celtics too. It's not Parrish, but. Who's on the team? No, it was Dr. J. Okay.
Well, I was thinking of center on that team, Chris.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Would it be maybe Dave Cowens?
Dave Cowens would be probably the best option in my opinion, unless I'm missing some. Oh yeah, there's another good option too. Yeah, Dave. Yeah.
I'll take Dave Cowens then. I kind of pigeonholed myself into that.
That's okay. But we'll see if I'll be doing the same thing with my point guard, because if not, because if I don't get a point guard here, it's gonna have to be either Kobe or Paul George running the offense. So that
is a much easier problem to have than what I do.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay, so mine is Melo. I have a couple good options. I can go Chauncey Billups. I can go with AI. I could go with Russ.
Raymond Felton.
I could go with Raymond Felton. I can go with Dame. So I actually have a lot of good options actually. What should I go with? Should I go with Russ? Should I go with Dame? I mean, Russ is definitely better than Dame, but what was that?
At their peak?
At their peak, Russ is better, but like the question is like who fits better on this team though?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the Russ is the better playmaker. He's definitely more of a shot chucker, but I don't think he'd be like that on a team like this though. Oh, gee, Russ and Kobe would be a brutal fit though, so I don't know. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna take the Finals MVP. Give me Chauncey Billups.
Wow.
Totally turn around there, but yeah, I do think that Chauncey Billups would fit best with all these guys rather than Dame and Russ.
Well, no matter what, you won't have the worst pick, in this draft.
All right, Jay, with the last pick in the draft, we'll be taking a teammate of Dr. J.
I have to look this one up. I don't know.
Well, there's at least one of them that's definitely a good one for sure. It's the one who we won the title with, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone else.
Malone doesn't fit with me right now.
No, not really. Yeah,
I know. Yeah. I know what I'm saying. Ooh, damn. I'll take Mo Cheeks. Mo Cheeks gotta be my
Oh,
guard.
Cheeks, nice.
I could have taken George Gervin. They played together in the ABA, but I don't need any more scoring.
That's right. Yeah, that's it for sure. All right. Yeah, good stuff. So, okay. So I'll give you guys a minute to organize your teams based on position wise and everything. And usually this is where I would say, tell me why your team is the best. But and if you want to do that, you can. But more so, I'd rather you explain your philosophy for what your team philosophy you think would be, like how your team would fit best. So I'll start off. So my starting lineup would be Chauncey Billups at the point, Kobe at the 2. I'll start Rick Barry ahead of Paul George. So Rick Barry at the 3, Tim Duncan at the 4, and Kareem at the 5. So I have Kobe, who's a top 2 shooting guard all time. I have Duncan, best power forward of all time, and Kareem, best center of all time. And then Rick Barry, who won Finals MVP, and Chauncey Billups, who won Finals MVP, and Paul George, who is like laughably historic playoff joker. So yeah, that's why he's coming off the bench. But yeah, all of you other guys have good teams. And I feel bad that I went first because now you guys have to follow this. And I'm not saying that to be a jerk, but like I'm saying that in actual sense. But I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about your teams because your teams are great. Don't get me wrong, but I think that I was definitely dealt a better hand than you guys.
I'll go second. I think I have, like I said, I think I have the most physically imposing team. So I think we can, just force our will on teams. We can score from the inside. You got LeBron, the best finisher. You got Barkley, who could finish at the rim. We talk about just freak athleticism. Barkley, Braun, and Bill Russell is kind of a crazy combo. Do I have Kawhi?
You do.
And I got Kawhi Leonard. So I think defensively, we have the best. We probably have the best perimeter and interior defense of all time. So I think it's going to be very hard to score on us. And I think I got some prolific scorers in here as well. So I think it'd be very difficult to match up with us.
Awesome. You can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think I really do like my team. I think overall there might be a pick or two I'd want back. I went back and forth, and I think I may have overthought the teammate of Paul George. I took James Harden, because I just think like peak James Harden is like, and maybe I just focused too much on the peak because I think peak James Harden is like, it was like an untouchable player, when he was averaging 36. But like maybe for like team building, Kawhi would have been a better option in that sense. But moving down the list, I mean, I got Stockton and Chris Paul as my 2 point guards. James Harden, as I mentioned before, Larry Bird and Kevin Durant, 2 of the best, I guess call them, 3-4 scorers. The position 3-4 scorers in the NBA history. And then I kind of pigeonholed myself into picking Dave Cowens, who I'm not really too upset about, but I kind of left the center towards the end there.
All right, Matt, we're excited to hear yours.
Yeah, my team would be way better if I had Michael Jordan over Dennis Johnson. Maybe I'm underrating Dennis Johnson. It would be slightly better if I had Michael Jordan over Dennis Johnson. However, my team defensively is pretty solid. You got Willis Reed and Shaq down low. I mean, Dirk isn't a great defender, but he's long. And then you got who was my my bench piece? I got Dennis Johnson, Archie Clark, and who was my last pick?
Clyde Drexler.
Clyde Drexler. By the way, Archie Clark. Everyone forgets about his performance in 1971-72 playoffs, where he averaged 26.7 on the Baltimore Bullets. So
that was 6 years old, by the way.
You said argue how my team is the best. I simply cannot do that. But I had fun doing this, guys.
Yes. Well, I guess the only way you could argue is that you could say that Shaq is probably is like the most dominant force of all time, and then him and Dirk spacing is solid. But yeah. I think that should be
Thank you, Chris.
Scenario. Yeah. And then Dennis Johnson is one of the 10 best perimeter defenders of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is clamps.
Or I guess point guard defender, I should say, maybe not perimeter defenders, but yeah, for sure. All right, that was fun. Cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much all we have. Before we go, Jay, you got anything coming up? Anything you want to plug?
Nah, man, nothing coming up. I mean, I would love to join you guys again and just
absolutely
trying to build this one day at a time. So that's it for me.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely have you on again. Definitely have you on. Yeah, hopefully by the end of the season.
After St. John's wins the national championship.
Yeah, exactly.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. We'll have you and Corzema back on for sure. But Yeah. Jay, thanks for coming on. It was a lot of fun. John, Matt, as per usual, thanks for coming on. It didn't leave my banner down here, but that's okay. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms, including, give me 1 second. There it is. Okay, so be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at All American Hooper on Instagram and on TikTok, at American Hooper on Twitter. Be sure to check out my additional contents. Like I said, on Wednesday nights, we have Fluent versus Chill versus Everyone. Jay was on that last week, where he challenged Fluent and Chill to Steph Curry versus Magic Johnson. Also check out my column. I haven't written much yet, but I'll definitely be writing a little more later. And yeah, just tune in every Thursday night, 8 p.m. We'll be here. This has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. Until next time, keep grinding and stay hooping. Have a good night.